This is Jim Melton. He's with Challenge Tomorrow. He's a good friend of mine, and we'd love to hear his talk today. Jim, what's the title of your talk?
The title of my talk is Share the Word.
Let's share the word. Let's go.
So the first thing we do is when I share the word, that's what it exactly means, share the word. And when I start a lecture, I start this and I put it on the lectern. Well, in this case, I'm just putting it on my desk. Welcome aboard. This is the outreach track. Why is it called outreach? Because it's so important. And I've broken this down into several points, actually 3. Number 1, why I designed the speakers package, which I'll be explaining. Number 2, why your voice is essentially needed. And number 3, an overview of the speakers package. So let me preface, everything that I'm going to talk about today and everything I'm going to offer today is yours free, complimentary, for 30 days. And then after 30 days, it's free and complimentary for those in the Mars Society. All right, I'm not a scientist, and I don't propose to be one, but the noted astrophysicist Neil deGrasse Tyson put it this way. He said, you don't have to be a scientist to enjoy science. You don't have to be a scientist to use science. And you don't have to be a scientist to basically talk about it. I'm a lecturer. I'm a keynote conference speaker. And I've been speaking for quite a while, many years, as a matter of fact, on leadership and the future. In January of this year, I was in Denver giving a talk about Mars. So I went to visit Dr. Robert Zubrin with my wife, Dana, and we spent some time together, and we basically discussed this program right here with the Mars Society and the virtual conference. And he mentioned in the program, in our meeting, that he was visiting with Elon Musk, a couple of months back, and they got themselves together and started talking about how can we share the word, because it's so important to do so. And they were at Boca Chica discussing this and came up with some various thoughts that Dr. Zubrin shared with me. As a matter of fact, he thought sharing the word was so important that yesterday in his comments to open this convention, he actually said, we need to find ways to share the word. So let me take a moment, if I might, to acknowledge, number 1, why this is called Share the Word, because Musk and Zubrin came up with the idea, but acknowledge the time we're in right now with the coronavirus. It's been a tough road for a lot of us. And all of the concepts that I'll be sharing here will be workable in a virtual situation, in a podcast, in a video, or standing before a real audience, a live audience. Not meaning to say this isn't a live audience, I'm sure it is, but an audience, you get the gist of what I'm talking about. I'm very optimistic that, and I'm sure all of you are too, that in the next year, we will have a vaccine available. And Dana and I are planning for that opportunity. What we're doing is we're designing a speakers tour nationally to address high schools and colleges with the topic of why Mars, why now? You never know who might be in the audience, and you never know who you're connecting with, who's able to move this endeavor light years forward. So no doubt many of you are skilled in many fields of science. Some of you are not, as I am not, but that does not mean we cannot share the word, because we actually can. The Spread the Word program that I'm about to share with you is designed to offer guidelines for giving Mars talks to the general public. And the intent of this is to elevate the awareness of the strong element of credibility and influence that the Mars Society has established worldwide. Now, the speaker package contains information on how to deliver a 25-minute program about the mission to Mars. So point number 2, if we are to advance our mission to Mars, your voice is important to spread the word and share with the people about the adventure and the excitement of this mission. Our world is moving so fast nowadays, it's difficult to keep up with it, let alone understand it. We put men and machinery on the moon and nearby planets. We've got submarines that'll dive to the ocean floors. Our nuclear physicists and biologists are probing the innermost particles of matter. Our computers can solve some of the most complex problems of life in literally seconds, but we're still faced with a dilemma, which, if not handled, will plague us on into the future of our children and the future of our grandchildren. The dilemma: how to keep people paced with technology to enhance the human experience. So how can we do that? Well, look around you. We're doing it right now. We're on a worldwide platform. The Mars Society is designed to spread the word. So we have technology being shared here in this convention. We have the human element being shared, and we're merging them together. All right. In the program that I've outlined, it's a 25-minute program, as I mentioned before, and I feel I've designed this so anyone can deliver it easily and spread the word. Let me go over a few points that will help make your presentation easier, whenever that is, and it will make it more enjoyable for your audience. Walt Disney once put it this way. He said, anyone who doesn't know that the difference between education and entertainment doesn't know the definition of either word. He talks about education. I don't know if you've been to Epcot, Disneyland. His whole process is education with entertainment. So I've put a package together that contains things like how we can merge subject to subject, how we can transfer from one subject to another. And I like to put it this way. If you can think about it as speaking with a group of people and you want to go from one place to another, just switch gears every once in a while. For instance, maybe we're talking about the moon. Maybe we're talking about Mars. Maybe we're talking about the CO2 in the Martian atmosphere. And say, have you ever thought about this? How is it that we put men on the moon without even realizing or even designing how we could put wheels on luggage? We went to the moon before we put wheels on luggage. You get people thinking off track just a little bit different track is a good idea. Okay, now I've got a speaker package here that gives some ideas on delivering information. And I said, all of this is available. You can email me at james@jamesmelton.com and just make the subject speaker package. That's james@jamesmelton.com. Remember, the techniques will work virtually, and they will work for podcasts, for videos. They will work for your actual presentation when you're standing before an audience. Number 3, let me make a quick overview of some of the graphics that will be in the package and some suggested commentary. All right. Let me get a little idea here of where we're going. All right. I've designed a number of graphics that people can use for my presentation if they want to, or they can insert some of their own material. It's a program called Destination Mars. And we have a number of, there we go. I'm going to move this image over, hide that for a moment. A number of images. I'll just flip through a few of these so you can see that area of where I'm going with the program. And okay, let me go back to the beginning, because in the package, you will also receive an overview, which you can use completely if you wish. For instance, when we're going with the opening program, we'll go with the opening graphic. And the graphic is kind of your background. And I often start my talks with welcoming the people. Sometimes I use the David Bowie video. I don't know whether you will have a PowerPoint opportunity to do that, but it's a 2-minute video and it's great to get a program going. And then I will go back and I will have the background just be the Mars image. And I show that in the program right here. In the Mars image, I have a Zubrin quote. It says, "The time has come for humanity to journey to Mars. Though Mars is distant, we are far better prepared to send humans to Mars today than we were to travel to the moon at the commencement of the space age." Now, here's where I get some audience participation in. I asked them, when was that? And people come up with a number of ideas, and it actually was 1957. Why? Because of Sputnik. And then the verbiage that I've placed here is something that can be used verbatim, or you can ad lib. In 1957, Sputnik sent a shockwave through the world. We wanted to go to the moon, we wanted to go to Mars. But in reality, what got us off the launch pad was when Russia sent that little 23-inch sphere into orbit around the Earth. Thank goodness for that good old US of A technology. When going to the moon, the leadership got it. So on the next page, what I do is I flip the screen, going to John F. Kennedy, when he made his famous statement of, "I believe this nation should commit itself to achieving the goal before this decade is out of landing a man on the moon and returning him safely to the Earth." And I give you verbiage for this. Now, you don't need to use this, but I carry this on by saying that was on July 20th, 1969. And Neil Armstrong said, with a lot more composure than I have, "Houston, Tranquility Base here, the Eagle has landed." And I'm giving these suggestions to you. Ladies and gentlemen, these are not words. That was a vision. And when you capture a vision for your personal life, your business, your nation, people will rally behind you to the ends of the earth and beyond to help you reach your dream. It has been proven. But if you don't have a vision, people will continually meander on through your life, preventing you from reaching any end whatsoever. So I move on from there and I take it to enter Dr. Zubrin, author, president, and founder of the Mars Society, and most profound authority on the planet Mars and our world today. His widely acclaimed books, written in layman's terms, The Case for Mars, Mars Direct, The Case for Space, are practical handbooks that lay out a path for humans to Mars. This will be accomplished in just a few years, and the settlement will begin. Then I suggest that if you have purchased some of Dr. Zubrin's books in advance to share or sell at your program, you can say something like, "I have a few copies of Dr. Zubrin's books for those of you who would like to see what our short-term future has in store for us." And then I insert, "Please see me after the program." And one of the things I suggest that is a good idea if you have ordered the books is to pick up a book. If you have some promotional material, pick up a book. This one particularly is the Case for Space. And just to share a little bit with it, about it, what's in it for the audience. And he writes in layman's terms, and then read a little passage from it. Say something like, "We are not some distant future generation, and we have the eternal honor of opening this new world to humanity. All it takes is present-day technology mixed with some 19th century chemical engineering and a dose of common sense and a little bit of moxie. It gives you a kind of a feeling for who this man is. So then I move on to some other slides. I quote Stephen Hawking, "We must continue to go into space for the future of humanity. I don't think it will survive another 100 years without escaping beyond this fragile planet." And this is where I start opening the door to, as you can see in the phrasing here, I open the door to the founding declarations, of which, James, you were part of this back in 1998. And I mentioned that back in 1998, Dr. Zubrin formed the Mars Society, which identifies 7 reasons why we must go to Mars. And the first reason, and I have that slide up, the first reason is we must go for the knowledge of Mars. And it says something like, our robotic probes have revealed that Mars was once a warm and wet planet. From the point of view of learning our true place in the universe, this would be the most significant enlightenment since Copernicus back in the 14 to 1500s. So as I'm moving through my program, this is in fact what I'm explaining and what we're talking about. Then I have some other graphics. I won't go through all of these graphics and explain them. This one I like. It's in the program, and it has a quote by Plato. Astronomy compels the world to look upward and leads us from this world to another. This was the best image we had of Mars in 1937. Look at the difference right here. In 1976, Viking did a mosaic with updates in 2003 of the planet, which is infinitely better. And it gives some facts on Mars. So those facts on Mars that I use right here are written out. You can use them or not, but they're there. We talk about Mars being half the size of the diameter of Earth. And I add to that, in fact, Mars has a land surface equal to the size of all of the continents on Earth. Why? Because there's no water surface on Mars. Not yet. That will come later through planetary engineering and terraforming. And then I mention the other. 1 year on Mars is 687 days. 1 day on Mars is called a sol. It's about 24 hours and 39 minutes. We talk about Mars being 1/3 the gravity. Actually, it's about 38% of Earth's gravity. And then I talk about the average temperature on Mars. The average temperature on Mars is -81 degrees. Well, I go a little more in detail in that. The temperature ranges from -240 Fahrenheit in the winter nights to 70 degrees Fahrenheit at the equator during the summer. Mars is elliptical orbit around the sun, which makes each season about double that the time of on Earth. Then I talk about the water issue on Mars. Well, I had two small moons, for instance, which is Deimos and Phobos, probably a kickoff from the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter. And Mars has the tallest mountain on Earth, we think, in the solar system. It's about 3 times the size of Mount Everest and about as wide as the state of Texas. Back to the water issue. I put some information in here that I think is interesting to the people. Contrary to popular belief, there is water on Mars. In September of 2019, a liquid water underground lake was discovered. Also, Mars has glaciers underground, even at mid-latitudes. Many are so close to the surface, you can reach them with a shovel. They are composed of pure or nearly pure water ice. And they're estimated to be about 3 million cubic kilometers of fresh water. And we're not talking meters here, we're talking kilometers. That's a huge amount of water. The entire fresh water supply on Earth is about only 30 million cubic kilometers. So we're going a little further on this right now. Let me take you through some of these slides that will be in the package. I give a whole sheet of spin-off technology, which you can read or choose not to. I'm quoting Zubrin again, and you can elaborate on that. I give a great quote from Carl Sagan, which is on the Phoenix rover at the poles right now, waiting for the first astronauts to arrive so it can read the quote. He said, maybe we're on Mars because we have to, because there's a deep nomadic impulse built within us by the evolutionary process. After all, we came from hunter-gatherers, and for 99.9% of our tenure on Earth, we've been wanderers, and the next place to wander is Mars. And then that's kind of where I end the program and make some closing comments. Some of the other slides that are included for your own use, if you want to take it off on different ventures, you can. The cosmic calendar, a good shot of Earth, comparison between Earth and Mars, another statement by Kennedy, a slick that you can use for graphics, the Mars Society logo, a clean shot of Mars, Mars settlement, a moonshot, a moon settlement, Carl Sagan statement, and a space station around Mars designed by SpaceX. So lastly, let me get into the spread the word document. It's 18 pages. It covers anything and everything that you will encounter as a speaker, even starting late. I'll show you the table of contents. I talk about why we should be feeling as we're doing this together, you and I, the audience and me doing this program. Tricks on memory. I'll go to that page right here. Memory. I remember 5 names when people come in. I make it a point to remember 5 first names, and somehow or another I remember more, and it brings you to your audience. I give an entire page, or 2 pages, I think it is, on beginnings and endings. How to stand at the lectern as opposed to the podium. The lectern is the unit that you're standing on with your notes, and the podium is the space around you. I talk about audience warm-ups. I talk about handling nervousness, following your intuition, gadgets, things of this sort. And I also talk about closing, which we're going to go back to right now. So where are we? Right there. Okay. All right. So let me do this. Let me bring this together, because in presenting to people, it's important to realize that most people don't know anything about what you're talking about regarding space and Mars. You have the knowledge, they're looking for it. They may not even realize they're looking for it, but they are. Many people on the planet don't even know what's going on in the space industry. That's why Elon Musk and Dr. Zubrin were so adamant about, we need to find ways to spread the word. And as I said before, if we're going to spread the word about our mission to Mars, your voice is very important. I provide many ways to close a program, which I'll do right now. One way would be just say, there are 3 kinds of people: those who make things happen, those who watch things happen, and there will always be those who wonder, what happened? And that usually gets a little chuckle. All right. Then, because it's a Mars program, I like to add something like this: be one who makes things happen. Join us and be a member of the Mars Society, a worldwide organization that is shaping our future now. Thanks for being here today. Thanks for joining us. All right. And by the way, Elon Musk has changed times. I believe it's 3 o'clock. So be sure to watch Elon Musk. That's it for the moment. I'll take questions if you have them.
Thank you, Jim. Are there any questions for Jim? Go ahead and unmute and ask your question.
Nisha, do you have a question?
Yeah, would you like to ask your question out loud, Nisha? Go ahead and unmute.
Well, hi, James. Really great talk. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Yeah, so I'm a fresh graduate in planetary science from London, and I want to outreach to schools in my local area to help spread the word. So what advice would you give to a young person like me who is actually quite terrified of public speaking, but is really passionate about outreaching?
Very good question. Thank you. This is not uncommon, Nisha. Every time I speak, I get nervous. I've been speaking for over 30 years. I don't mean to throw any nervous into you by saying that, but I think a little apprehension is good. A little, a little apprehension about what you're going to do. Some words of advice that I was given by Dick Cavett. He said, Jim, it always looks better than it felt when you did it. If you don't mention you're nervous, mostly people won't notice it. So I wouldn't worry about that. The second thing is I commend you for wanting to go out and doing the talks, because most people won't. They are a bit reluctant, wondering about, do I have the qualifications to do it? Frankly, you don't need any qualifications if you have a passion for your subject, and you obviously do. High schools and colleges, that's where our tour will be next year, on the road to high schools and colleges. These are the people who are going to Mars. These are the people who are going to form the new society and where the new culture will evolve. So this is extremely important that you do this. I do address the nervousness issue considerably in my document. Do email me at james@jamesmelton.com and request the speaker package, and I will definitely get that to you. You will find it's interesting. It's a long one. It's 18 pages. No graphics in it at all. All information that I've gathered over the years of speaking, and I feel it's very valuable.
Thank you, James.
You're so welcome. Anybody else have a thought, a comment, an insight?
We're actually at time. It's 1:45. So thank you very much. Always good to hear you talk at our conferences. And thanks to everybody.
My pleasure.
Alrighty.